You met prompt-bar-model-bar-parser in the last lesson as a teaser. Now meet the operator behind it properly, because that single pipe is a whole little language. It is called LCEL, LangChain Expression Language, and it is the pipe operator way to glue runnables together. Here is the idea that makes it click, and it is almost too simple. Everything LangChain calls a runnable place in this system: models, prompts, parsers, retrievers, even plain Python functions wrapped in RunnableLambda. Compose any of them with a vertical bar and you get back a new runnable, because the bar is literally defined as the or method on the base class, and it returns a runnable sequence that implements the full interface. That is why chaining never breaks the contract. The output is always something you can invoke, batch, or stream. Let me walk the code one beat at a time. First, what you get for free: write chain equals prompt-bar-model-bar-parser, and that one object now exposes 4 execution modes. Invoke for a single input, batch for many inputs in parallel, stream for an iterator of incremental output, and invoke for a sync. Writing those 4 modes yourself for a real pipeline is a genuine amount of code, and you will get a sync and streaming wrong on the first try. Second beat, read a chain left to right, because the shapes between steps matter as much as the steps. An input dict becomes a list of messages, becomes an AI message, becomes a string. If a step expects a dict and gets a string, you get a runtime type error. Third beat, fanning out with RunnableParallel. When several steps need the same input but produce different things, you wrap them in a dict: summary, sentiment, keywords, each its own little chain. Call invoke once and LangChain runs all 3 branches in parallel, returning a dict keyed by name. For calls that do not depend on each other, 3 sequential round trips collapse into roughly 1 round trip of wall clock time. Fourth beat, branching with RunnableBranch, which is LCEL's if-elif-else. You pass pairs of predicate and chain. If Lang is SQL, use the SQL chain. If Python, use the Python chain, otherwise the default. The first predicate that returns truthy wins, and each branch is itself a chain, so roots can be arbitrarily deep. And streaming is where the pipe most obviously earns its keep. Loop over chain.stream and print each chunk, and LangChain figures out which steps can stream. The model can. A JSON parser cannot, and gives you incremental output where it makes sense. One production gotcha to bank. Batch runs everything at once by default. So pass config max concurrency 5 or you will smack a rate limit. And the honest boundary? LCEL is for DAGs. The moment your flowchart has a cycle, a retry, or a human-in-the-loop pause, RunnableBranch chained 5 deep turns unreadable, and that is your cue for LangGraph. Until then, declare the pipeline with the pipe, and batch, stream, and async come along for free.